I feel like a great warrior holding on to a heavy burden. It's on my shoulders, and it's like a big sack of heavy material. Some of it is touching the ground, and it represents morality, the burden of morality. And I'm being mocked by attractive women and couples, people having nice things, cars, jewelry, you name it. I'm being mocked by different groups of people whose lack of morality I have cited as weakness. They feel inclined to say, hey, don't make me look bad. Why'd you choose me? And as I've picked on, not picked on, but called out and highlighted the immorality and how women don't appreciate me, they're all mocking me, saying he's holding on to this patriarchal concept that oppresses women, suppresses their thought, and keeps them subservient and in submissive roles in a society that has taken them for granted for years. For all the pain that women have suffered, I'm sorry. But the way you do things now, as a group, the most attractive, appealing, and even seemingly classy women tend to, and for the most part, do not value a good man. They do not value a transcendent warrior. And now I'm in my mid-30s. It's going to be over for me soon, once and for all. Probably before my main challenge is even up. Who never know. But what's left? Who betrayed me and why? Which groups and why? So let's go through them, and then we'll play the good clip of this video. A Satanist, you've done so much wrong, I don't know where to start. Teaming up with the Masons, like these other groups that I call spiritual bottom feeders. Women, feminists, breaking down the family, destroying traditions, customs, and cultures. And when people try to call you out for it, you want to twist the culture to make it more, feminine friendly. Like compromise. How can you compromise with tradition? The same with the gays and them. The gays, the feminists, and the liberals, they seek to liberate by destroying directly or subtly destroying by changing from the inside. Different aspects of our culture. And for the most part, they're doing both at the same time. It's a multifaceted approach to destroying everything that is sacred and that is good, and building a society based on technology and the rule of all the people who are at odds with the church, all these hundreds of years later, having used the very technology that the church didn't want them to advance, to destroy the church as the church feared, which is why the church suppressed them in the first place. And all these different groups of people who don't have the foresight, when it comes to the average Christian who's well rehearsed in the Bible, they're pretty sharp people. When it comes to the clergy, the Jesuits, for example, there's different groups and there's different individuals and groups of friends within the church that are very educated people. And it's been like this for a long time, as much as there's always been corruption. So therefore, they saw this coming. It's just like I see things coming without being a prophet, just common sense. It's like, oh, here comes trouble. And so, you know, though the church has never been perfect, and I've never been perfect, I was betrayed by the Satanists, the eugenicists, the LGBT people, the mental health people, um, law enforcement, military, intelligence community, atheists, racist groups of people, different races, women, big time. Women's betrayal was the worst, perhaps, because, man, I have felt such deep passion, just fiery, intense romantic feelings for women, just been just crushed in my life over and over. And I'm trying to do everything I'm trying to do. When I was in college, graduating, going to school, summer school, you know, working, doing martial arts, doing my martial art challenge, going on 5 years of martial art challengers since the first challenge in YouTube that was known. And I'm doing all this stuff, right? And all they did was hurt me, you know. I remember when I was really younger, right? There was this attractive female, and I can tell you which one. It was my first girlfriend. If you've been paying attention for a long time, you know which one. She was dressed in nice lingerie, whatever. We're in her bed in her parents' house. She had a nice house. It was like an R&B movie or something, right? I've been to nice places before, but that was my first time really experiencing that, and probably one of the only times in my life where a female had gotten all sexy for me in a nice setting, and the whole wow. Yeah. Know that there are scumbags that enjoy that all the fucking time. There are absolute villains and criminals who will say things like, oh, he's just mad he's not successful in this satanic, crony capitalist society, this favoritism filled, greedy, run, society of scum, where a man's worth is measured by his ability to get the root of all evil, where money makes the man, and money is the root of all evil. So evil makes the man in the eyes of the more conformist sex women. I've been betrayed time and time again. And they all have their different perceptions. And there's different degrees of it. Like there's some races who are a little bit more inclined to be with somebody. A black guy in this case, right? However, it goes back to the money. It goes back to social acceptance. What will my friends think? My family? How will this guy make me feel? Will he buy me nice things? Because even if my friends don't approve, if he buys me nice things, at least I can tell them that. And stuff like this. I mean, it's fucked up. This is how it is. I've been sitting on a little bit of money for a while. It's perception, how the public perceives you. So, I think we all understand this, but this is why they care about appearances in society so much. Appearances. Man, I want to know, psychiatry, women, eugenics, unethical, non-consensual, experimentation, and more. When I was young, I used to leave to get weed. Part of the reason why I started smoking was because my heart was broken all the time, and it created a need to create a balance in myself, and to make myself feel better, to balance out that pain, which made me want to go out and have fun more. My parents are overprotective. I lived in a pretty isolated area, so when I go out without their permission, my very angry, 6'4", big father, back then, and it was a lot more intense. He would be very angry. This would add stress to the situation, keep my grades up, and put mad at me about other things, you know. So when I went to see a female, I was taken to the psych ward for the first time ever, just for leaving the house and going next door, you know. And I haven't quite had a balance my entire life as a result. You know, I've been to reform school, you know, and I haven't had love from women. I carved a broken heart on my forearm below my wrist when I was about 15 years old. So when you look at this thing, right, you then go to psychiatry and psychiatrists, and they stigmatize you. They give you drugs that make you act weird and feel like a zombie. So women, you know, again, reject. And the cycle continues. Now, I'm not saying everybody's problem is women. In my case, it certainly was. And the fact that I've been through all this stuff, and I'm not saying that I've been through more than anyone else, you know, not by a long shot. But the fact that I've been through all this stuff and women don't appreciate me, and I'm doing this for the right reasons, and I'm still here in this cycle that we all suffer from, but most people don't have that time to dwell when you go on things and to figure them out. When you go to prison, people call it a criminal university. It's also been referred to as a timeout. So you're analyzing things, you're thinking. I'm at reform school, you know, when I was younger. I was at, you know, behavior modification wilderness program, boarding school, you know, different, you know, in the middle of nowhere, different situations where I'm thinking and I'm reflecting. And I'm doing some introspection, some retrospection, you know, focusing on my discernment as I look back at my life. Which I try to look at it from a bird's eye view as well, and look at it from different angles, and truly figure out what is this thing? And figure out all those deeper metaphysical and theological questions in order to get to the answer. Because what does anything really mean if you can't put it into context, much less understand reality to begin with? And the many complexities that by default come with it. So, some people die early. Some people lose a desire for sex. Some people become sterile, kidney failure, bladder failure, you know, diabetes. Most of these people become poor who are on these psych meds unless they have a strong network, which is what keeps people up in society in the first place. I mean, I don't think any sociologist would deny that, or any other social scientist for that matter. So, these things are connected. Psychiatry, women, eugenics, okay, non-consensual, unethical experimentation. The patient himself is being experimented on, and they have plausible deniability because of two very obvious reasons, among others. And I'm going to end it here. Number one, the person is on psych meds that mess up the person's body in different ways. Since the psych meds themselves are experimental drugs for all intents and purposes, they haven't been studied. The long-term effects haven't been studied, which creates a priceless opportunity for the government to create substances and test them on, you know, mental health patients, you know, and you know, get away with it. And of course, the second one is very obvious as well. Well, it's not. I mean, the first one is less obvious.
you know, but once you think about it, it's ding, light bulb, you know. And of course, I've known this for a very long time. The second one is more obvious. They play you out as crazy, right? So now you're this crazy person that's been discredited, you know, that's the idea at least. And you're on drugs that mess your body up. So how do you prove the government is treating you this way? How do they prove an MK Ultra? Well, it was a clerical error. A filing fucking error. They sent it to the wrong place. What's the odds that's going to happen again? You know? There will be no justice. The government now is more corrupt, not less. They're better at being corrupt, and they're still getting caught all the time. If you read between the lines, you know that there's some serious stuff going on here.